All right, we got a cozy little crowd. We'll keep it a little informal. I'll also share for the video. So the talk today is about why velocity is the number one, and I believe increasingly the only sustainable advantage when building a startup. So the key areas are, one, why that's the case. It's because there's so much opportunity in the market, more resources, meaning there's a lot more competition. I mean, just out there, we're seeing 3 companies that are competitors of my company, Vendr. And I should have introduced myself, Ariel Diaz, co-founder and chief strategy officer at Vendr. Before that, I was 3-time founder and CEO, including a company called Blissfully, which did SaaS management, merged with Vendr about a year ago, 2 other companies before that. And so first is the fact that there's so much opportunity and resources out there makes for a lot of competition, which is part 2. And then 3 is velocity is the only thing that helps you stay ahead of that competition. So first off, opportunity is so abundant primarily because there's been an explosion of capital coming in the last few years. This has slowed down more recently, but we're still seeing, you can call it zero interest rate phenomenon, which is a lot of startups going after increasingly relatively constrained pies. So you'll have tons of money coming into it. And in addition to capital, which we talked about, we have better tools to build products faster. So this is through technology. More and more of the stack that you need to build a product is plug and play. You can spin up a few, NPM, install your favorite stuff, spin a bunch of great technology up, and you've got all this great tools at your disposal. Not just while you're building your product, but also while you're building your company with all the different SaaS products out there to help you run more efficiently, help grow a business, to help find whatever niche you need. Again, a lot of those companies we're seeing here. And you combine these 2 things, and it also results in just a lower barrier to entry. It's easier than ever to get started with a SaaS app, a product, to do one particular niche, start charging for it, and you end up having a bunch of coalescing factors that result in the key point number 2, which is the market is getting more and more competitive. So to share a little bit of what we're seeing in some of the data that we see, so we see about a couple of percentage points of all SaaS spend at Vendr that we help process, and we help leverage that data to help our customers save money, to help find the right products. And we see interesting data across 2 big categories. One is project management category. So this is well-known companies like Asana and Monday, but also a lot of new entrants. And over the course of 1 year, we saw a 30% increase in the number of unique project management products that we're out there working on. And this is a mature category that's growing at 30% a year, not in terms of revenue and users, but in terms of number of products available for purchase. That's a lot of products out there. And the second category, so this is on project management, is growing about 25%. And another common category, which digital analytics, is growing at 30%. We actually see some of these companies here. So you're seeing a lot of new entrants capitalize well, leveraging these great tools. So that results in this really intense competition that's likely going to continue to get more intense. So the reality is you don't have to outrun the bear. You just got to outrun your competitors. And that's why velocity matters so much. So velocity as the primary driver for overall success, as you're outrunning, not the bear, but everyone else trying to outrun the bear. So one, we're seeing anytime there's a new category, that velocity lead doesn't matter after the first head start, right? And you see a lot of times where the category leader has a head start, but that might used to last maybe years, but that cycle keeps compressing where that advantage gets shorter and shorter. And it's because of all the stuff we've talked about. More capital, better tools, better products, faster marketing, more distribution channels, and everything else. So that's not enough, right? Being the category creator is not enough. That gives you maybe a couple of quarters of heads up. So you have to just move faster, and you have to maintain that lead. And the ways you can maintain that lead is, one, through company culture. So velocity means you're shipping, you're iterating, you're improving the product, you're testing new channels, and you're doing this all at a really quick cycle time. So And the word velocity matters here because velocity is speed and direction. It's kind of the magnitude of how fast you're moving and where you're going. And both matter. And in some cases, you might want to go slower speed, but find the right direction and then accelerate. And then at Vendr, we've actually created velocity as one of our 4 company values. Vendr, there's the name of the company, so we call it V is for velocity. Because we want to make sure that every day that we realize we've got a whole slew of competitors, both direct and indirect, adjacencies that could potentially get into the same space. Again, a few of them are here with some booths right outside. So therefore, we need to maintain that velocity, accelerate what we're doing, whether it's across product, marketing, internal decision-making. There's a lot of rubrics out there. One well-known one is Jeff Bezos at Amazon says one-way door versus two-way doors. So if you have two-way doors, you can actually make that decision quickly because you can reverse it if needed. Whereas one-way doors, you might want to be more thoughtful and deliberate. So there's a few ways that you can build velocity into the culture. And then another framework that's interesting is that if you think of a company as a group of individuals, each individual is a little vector, and velocity itself is a vector, right? The vector is a magnitude and direction. So the overall company velocity is going to be the sum of the vectors of individuals. This is actually a talk that Dharmesh Shah at HubSpot gave from a fun conversation of Elon Musk. I'm just kind of name dropping some folks that believe similar things to show some, reinforce ethos. So if you think of it that way, you want to increase velocity, you need to do 2 things. You need to increase the magnitude of all the individuals in the company, and you need to make sure they're aligned pretty well. So this is how we think about velocity. So to kind of summarize again, there's 3 big things. More opportunities, resources, and tooling reduces the barrier to entry, increases competition, resulting in velocity being the only true sustainable advantage. So that's kind of the bulk of it. Keep it short and sweet. I know we're the first one. And I can kind of switch it open to questions. And we got a little cozy crowd here. And I'm on time. Yeah.
When triangulating on where to focus that velocity, what are some good ways to sequence the strategy or things you pursue as a team? Is that the OKRs, company rocks, or how do you think about that?
It's a great question. So a couple of things that we've done, especially when we're building OKRs for this year, is try to figure out which ones are high confidence areas that you're pretty sure on the goal and you just need to get there faster. And then it's really about operational efficiency, building the right team, getting the right folks to move faster into a known kind of good hill to climb. But there are other initiatives where you don't know enough. And in those times, you probably want to slow down and be more of a wayfinding mode. We have one of our OKRs this year across the company, and we're a post-product market fit, raised $200 million, 400-person company. But one of our OKRs for this year includes finding product market fit in this new initiative, right? We'll start talking about it more publicly in a bit. So in that category, velocity is more about direction finding than it is about speed and increasing that. Whereas there's other areas where we've got a mature sales team, 100 people, we've got a really aggressive product roadmap, we've got 100 people there too, and it's around build a roadmap that we're really highly confident in. How do you build that with high quality and velocity on the product? How do you build a marketing channel that's delivering the pipeline that we need to go hit our aggressive sales goals? So those are kind of pretty clear waypoints, and we're just moving fast, increasing speed towards a known direction. And there's others where we're in kind of exploring, we're moving slowly, we're finding product market fit, we're kind of heat seeking, and then as we get more signals, we can start increasing the speed. So we think of those as different.
What signals do you use to kind of gauge how fast you're going in that direction? How are you kind of thinking about whether qualitative or metric-based? How are you thinking about measuring?
That's a great question, and I kind of threw this together very quickly, so there's a lot of fun depth in here. So it depends a lot on the department. So if we look at product versus sales, those are kind of 2 big categories where we know where we're going and it's all about increasing the speed. So for product, it's hard to put a number on it and measure, and I think there's a lot of potentially bad effort to create a number more too specifically. But conceptually, the way we think about product velocity is how quickly are we shipping high quality products to customers? How quickly are we adding customer value? Not how quickly are we writing code, not how quickly are we shipping features, but how quickly are we delivering customer value? And that's the unit. Now, measuring that is a little nuanced because it's, there's indicators of, feedback and product board and customer satisfaction and feedback to customer success. But in general, the unit is customer value, and then the measurement of that gets a little squishy. Sales and marketing is much more straightforward. The unit for marketing is pipeline generation, right, in a sales-led company. The unit for sales is revenue, right, or ARR. You can kind of slice it in, first year TCV. Now the fun parts. All right, I'm gonna give come on in. We're gonna give a lightning summary. There's some fun stuff in here. Okay. Yeah, round two. I'll breeze through this. These slides are also a little wordy. Sorry about that. For the new folks, I'm Ariel Diaz, co-founder and chief strategy officer at Vendr. Previously was co-founder and CEO at Blissfully, a early SaaS management platform. We merged with Vendr about a year ago, so now I'm co-founder and chief strategy there. And before that was three-time founder CEO. Been doing startups for a while, and I believe that velocity is the number one and increasingly the only sustainable advantage in the startup ecosystem. So we'll talk about three big reasons. One is there's more opportunity and resources and funds than ever. Two, resulting in much more competition. Three, which means you can only win by increasing velocity. So one, capital. We've all seen this massive boom in capital, the zero interest rate phenomenon. So that massive increase in capital results in more companies. It also has led to a lot better tools to build and sell whatever you're doing. It has reduced the barriers to entry as all these things combine. So every category, what used to be a category with one, actually I'll switch there. So that results in the market getting a lot more competitive. A couple of data points on the competition that we see at Vendr. So we see a couple of percentage points of SaaS spend across the world. Project management category, the number of vendors, let alone the growth rate, has increased 25% year over year. And that's a mature category. In digital analytics, it's increased 30%, another mature category, right? BI. And these are products that increasingly are harder to differentiate, but you're still getting new entrants coming into the space. And so this increased competition because of more fund, better technology to build products faster, lower barriers to entry means that every category gets much more competitive, and the first mover advantage gets lower and lower. So the good thing is you don't have to outrun the bear, right? Competition is the bear. You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your friends, right? Because the bear is going to catch someone. So you just have to outrun your friends. And the way you do that is by building velocity into how you build and run your business because of all the factors. So, and then a couple of things. One, category creation used to be maybe a multi-year head start. Now it's a few months, right? The number of categories, we have 3 competitors, a Vendr here. We've got multiple people in the security and kind of SOC 2 automation here. So that head start is months, maybe quarters at most these days. So that's why velocity matters so much. 2 ways to do it. You kind of embed it into your company culture. We were talking about some of the KPIs and how you track that for product, for sales, for marketing. And the reason to think about that way is because the company essentially is if individuals are vectors, right, and velocity is a vector of speed and direction, the company is a sum of all those vectors, right? And you add vectors by summing their magnitude and their direction. So there's 2 ways to increase velocity. One is you get people aligned in the right direction, and 2 is you get them to increase the magnitude of their own kind of speed, their effectiveness. And if you do that over and over, you can really build velocity into the company. And otherwise, it's just going to be really tough because there's a lot of other people that are working on this. So like the old saying, right, in Africa, every day a lion wakes up, and if he doesn't outrun the slowest gazelle, he goes hungry. And every day a gazelle wakes up saying, like, if I don't outrun the fastest lion, right, I'm not going to see the next morning. So either way, whether you're a lion or a gazelle, you're running. Every day you're running. So you just have to realize that that's kind of the only sustainable advantage. So thank you. Hope that lightning version was fun, and happy to, we got another couple minutes for questions if anything jumps out. Cool. All right, thanks.